Good early afternoon. We are live. How you doing? Hey to the people here in the studio, and hey to you out there. I'm Andy Andrews. You've joined us for the Blue Plate Special. We're broadcasting from Wisdom Harbor Studios, beautiful downtown Orange Beach in the financial district of Orange Beach. And we're here at the Wharf, home of the famous escalator statues. That's right. If you visit us, you need to get your selfie done with the escalator statues and post that online. Dave Larder, hey, in Phoenix, where you're enjoying fall with a brisk 92 degrees today. That's pretty brisk. And you enjoyed the Professional Noticer today. Looking forward to future installments of the parenting series. Yeah, thank you. We've been talking about that here for a while, because I'm kind of working on a book, and so we thought, let's get some of this material out. We just feel like the material needs to be out, and so we're doing it as kind of here and there. Charlie Marlowe, financial coach, greetings from Arlington, Virginia, listening from the Pentagon. Wow. Okay. Well, great. Now, if you could figure out how to hack the show onto every computer screen at the Pentagon. Terry Rowland, great. Good to see you here in Oklahoma. Sorry about your loss last week. Sorry about Alabama's loss, too. Even though we didn't lose to South Carolina, we felt like we lost. It sure felt like we lost. Dave Timmons, hey, how you doing? Dana Kilpatrick, hey, and you shared, thank you very much. Sandy Atkins, hey, from El Salvador. Hope you're doing good down there, staying safe. Martin Simmons, Ernest T says, hey to you and you. We have a cool show today. It's been a product of a lot of research, and as you know, we're into odd topics here on the Blue Plate Special. Sometimes we do a be true or BS, and we'll lay something out there and leave it for you to determine whether it's true or BS. And we're developing a game show based on that right now for Wisdom Harbor. So if you haven't subscribed to Wisdom Harbor, you need to. Let's see, what else? Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier in 1947. Today in 1947, or this date in 1947, he broke the sound barrier. He passed away several years ago. I quail hunted with General Yeager a bunch of times, and he was a crusty old guy. I mean, he was nice, but crusty. Have I ever told you any of those stories? Yeah, I remember one time we met a guide. There was a guide us quail hunting with his dogs and everything, and General Yeager met him, and he said, call me Chuck. And the guy nodded, and so like 5 minutes later, we're hunting along, and the guy says, General Yeager, if you'll move on up. He said, I said, call me Chuck. I was like, okay. So anyway, just kind of crusty, but a great guy. But, I have found, I know a lot of generals, and I have found that generals get used to people doing what they say the very first time, and then when they get out of the military, nobody else is used to doing something the first time somebody says it, like every single thing. I was sitting next to General Schwarzkopf at a charity auction one night, And General Schwarzkopf and I were, there had been several other people sitting up eating dinner with us, and then they kind of got out of there, and it was just me and the general. And there was a velvet rope there, separating the crowd, keeping the crowd back or whatever. And there was, this was in Albany, Georgia. And there was a sheriff's deputy that was guarding the rope. Okay, I mean, he's there in his uniform and guarding the rope. And so the general and I we're talking, it's like if this is me here, and general's talking here, we're just like talking, and I see him look past me, and he goes, so I looked behind me, and there was a lady standing at the rope with her book and a pen, with his book, his biography, and a pen. And he goes, and she goes, she goes, I can't, and points to the deputy. And so then the deputy comes around the rope, and he leans down and says, General, they asked that we not let anybody behind the ropes. And Schwarzkopf said, when I tell you to let them behind the ropes, you let them behind the ropes. And I mean the first time I tell you, is that clear? Yes, sir. And she got behind the rope. But it startled me as much as it did the deputy. And I've thought about that a bunch of times since, and I've thought, man, I'll just bet you that, he just like, he's a guy in a uniform. And he wasn't doing what he told him to do. And it just like sprang all over him. But anyway, I've seen generals, been around generals that kind of do that. And then I've been around politicians that just lie for no reason. So I've seen that too. All right, here's our topic today. Our topic today is 13 historical figures and their last meals. Now, this took some time to figure out. This took some time to research and to get the information about last meals on some of these people. And I'll tell you now, there were 3 of them that I didn't really recognize what they were eating. And so I went on and did some further research on the recipe. And so I've even got the recipe for you on 3 of them. Ernest Hemingway is first. And on the night of his death, and as you know, he shot himself. Okay? On the night of his death, Ernest Hemingway dined at Michael's in Ketchum, Idaho. And he was accompanied by his wife, Mary, and was such a regular, he had a table all of his own. And so on July 1st, 1961, Hemingway, who had just left the psychiatric ward at Mayo Clinic days before, should have been a clue, he ordered a New York strip steak, baked potato, Caesar salad, and Bordeaux wine. According to the waitress who served him, he didn't act any differently that night. He sat very quietly. I never knew him to be anything but a very gentle man. And in the early hours of July 2nd, Hemingway took his own life. But I look at that and I think he had to be thinking about it, right? Don't you think? He had to be thinking about it. And if you're thinking about that, how do you have the appetite to eat a steak and a baked potato? This is just great. Man, we're going to tip extra, but this is just great. They go home and kill yourself. All right, number 2, Captain Edward Smith. Do you know who this is? He died April 14th, 1912. Ring a bell? He was the captain of the Titanic. Okay, and he enjoyed an 11-course first-class dinner that evening. And according to an account by a steward on the Titanic, no expense was spared on the meal. The captain was joined at his table by the millionaire John Jacob Astor, and the steward recalled the captain talked and joked with Mr. Astor. The one topic of conversation was the new ship and the speed she was making and how safe she was. And the meal began, get this, the meal began with hors d'oeuvres, soup, and fish. The entrees were filet mignon, chicken lyonnaise, and vegetable marrow farci. After that, lamb, duck, and sirloin were served alongside an array of vegetables. He also had roasted squab, asparagus salad, and foie gras. For dessert, he and his fellow diners enjoyed Waldorf pudding, chocolate-painted eclairs, French vanilla ice cream, and an assortment of fruits and cheeses. He reportedly left the dinner about 9 p.m. and went to bed soon after. When Titanic struck the iceberg that sealed its fate, Smith was reportedly shaken awake. Probably went right back to sleep in a diabetic coma. You know, I mean, if the ship hadn't hit an iceberg, it would have sunk because of the fat captain. I mean, you ever seen anybody eat that much? Holy cow! If he had one bite of everything, that's a lot. Now, here's the one I didn't recognize in there. I did not recognize vegetable marrow. Okay, and so when I looked that up, think of marrow as a grown-up zucchini. It's a squash. It's native to England, and marrows are bland green, oval summer squash that can grow to the size of a watermelon. So I had never heard of that. But that makes sense. If the guy's eating that much, he would eat a squash as big as a watermelon. So, and then the filet was done as filet mignon Lily. And I've got the recipe for you, okay? Filet mignon Lily, you do 4 8-ounce fillets, or if you're cooking for the Titanic, you do 2,000 8-ounce fillets. But we'll just say just for you and me, so you don't have to do the math and cut it down. 4 fillets, 4 slices of bacon, 4 ounces of unsalted butter. If I didn't know better, I'd think my wife was working on the Titanic. It's unsalted. Why do you get Polly buys unsalted butter and then puts salt on everything? And I'm like, do you think you're being healthy? I mean, it's like we buy unsalted butter. We pay extra for unsalted. It's the only thing I've seen that charges more for something that ain't in there. That just don't make any sense, you know. We'll get unsalted butter. Needs a little salt. Does it? I'm shocked. Okay, unsalted butter, 4 teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil. Now that always kills me, extra virgin olive oil. What is extra virgin? My dad always told me either you were or you weren't. You know? It's like, hey, if you can hold out another year, you'll be an extra virgin. I guess. I don't know. Okay. Then 2 cups of French red wine, 16 artichoke hearts, 6 large garlic cloves. Wrap the bacon slices around the steaks and secure them with sticks. Maybe they didn't have toothpicks back then, so they said sticks. Heat the oil and butter in a frying pan and put in the steaks, turning them every few seconds to brown both sides. Add garlic to the pan, remove the bacon, and seal the sides of the steak. Sear the sides of the steak. Deglaze the pan with the red wine and the artichoke hearts. Cook for about 2 minutes and spoon that over the steaks. And that is filet mignon Lily. So enjoy it if you want to, but don't eat it if you're getting on a cruise. Number 3, Abraham Lincoln. Now this was really interesting to me. President Abraham Lincoln and his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, crazy woman, dined on simple foods, something that was common in the White House at the time. Lincoln did not really prioritize food in general. John Hay, who's the Secretary of State, said the pleasures of the table had few attractions for him. That language is amazing to me. I mean, that's what he said. He didn't write it. He was reported to have said, the pleasures of the table had few attractions for him. I mean, that didn't, I mean, we don't talk that way today. I mean, you got a kid who's a picky eater. Yes, the pleasures of the table hold few attractions for him. It's like, he don't eat nothing. That's what we say. As a result, Mary Todd Lincoln tried to entice her husband with comfort foods that she knew he would enjoy. So on April 14th, 1865, she had the White House kitchen prepare mock turtle soup, roast Virginia fowl with chestnut dressing, baked yams, and cauliflower with cheese sauce. It took a while to get Lincoln to sit down for the meal, however, because he was so enthralled with some book he was reading. Finally, around 7 p.m., Lincoln sat down to eat. An hour and a half later, he arrived at Ford's Theater to watch Our American Cousin. And a week later, Mary Todd Lincoln was interviewed, and they asked her, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the play? Just kidding. Okay, so roast Virginia fowl. I didn't know what that was, but they said roast Virginia fowl could be turkey, it could be quail, or it could be guinea hen. Do you know what guineas are? If you're from the South, you know what guineas are. They're these creepy-looking gray and white birds that are bigger than a chicken, and they're running everywhere. People used to keep guineas for guard dogs or guard birds, I guess. Okay, so but the chestnut dressing. So you got Virginia fowl, but the chestnut dressing. I had never heard of chestnut dressing. And I guess that was before the big chestnut blight that killed all the chestnut trees in America. But now we can get some chestnuts. There's one strand that has come out of Gainesville, Florida, believe it or not, that hunters are buying it to put on their hunting land because deer love chestnuts. Which, aren't chestnuts those things with the spines? How did deer get in those? I don't know, but they love them. Okay, so listen to this. 2 cups of dry breadcrumbs, a half cup of chopped fresh chestnuts, 1 teaspoon of chopped fresh sage, 2 ounces of chopped onion, 4 ounces of soft butter, unsalted, I'm sure, chicken broth, a pinch of poultry seasoning with salt and pepper to taste. You mix the dry ingredients with the soft, unsalted butter and as much chicken broth as it takes to bind them together. Stuff 2 large fowl that have been seasoned inside and out and roast for about an hour at 350 degrees. Chestnut dressing. There you go. Now, there was something else. What was something else in that lineup? Something else in that list of ingredients? No, roll down. Okay, breadcrumbs, chestnut, sage, chopped onion, soft butter, chicken. There was something, or what? Maybe it was the menu. What was the menu? chestnut dressing, roast Virginia. Oh, mock turtle soup. What the heck is mock turtle? Now, obviously, it's turtle soup without the turtle. All right? And so I guess chicken noodle soup could be mock turtle soup. Vegetable soup could be mock turtle soup. Yes, it doesn't have turtle. Oh, so it's mock turtle soup. Yes, all soups without turtle are mock turtle soup. Okay, Frank Sinatra. Singer, actor, mafia stooge, Frank Sinatra, awoke during the late morning or early afternoon hours of May 14th, 1998, at his Palm Springs, California home. He lived there with his fourth wife, Barbara Marks, who encouraged him to eat his lunch, a grilled cheese sandwich, and she encouraged him to eat it outside by the pool. Sinatra ate grilled cheese sandwiches every day. You're internationally famous. You got $1 jillion. What would you like to eat, Frank? Give me a grilled cheese. It sounds like a 3-year-old, doesn't it? What do you want, Frank? Grilled cheese or chicken tenders? It's like, good grief. Anyway, he didn't finish his meal on May 14th, and a few hours later suffered his second heart attack. Sinatra was taken to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, where he passed away. And there's no truth to the rumor that at Frank's funeral they served grilled cheese. I don't think that's true. Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley's eating habits have been noted for years for their unusual and perhaps gluttonous nature. He was a fan of salty and sweet. I think he was a fan of food. I mean, he was just a fan of food. By the way, did you see the Elvis movie? Julie, Sonia, did you guys see the Elvis movie? The new one? It was about 2 years ago. Really good, wasn't it? I mean, that guy, whoever that guy was who played Elvis, he was great. Polly and I went to see the movie, and right over here, right to the Wharf Theaters, and I remember we came out of that thing feeling kind of sad, and we're like, why are we sad? I mean, we knew the story. It happened 50 years ago, and we knew the story. We knew he'd take drugs and get fat and die, and so why are we sad? But we were. We were. Polly loves Elvis. She loves Elvis. I love to tease her about Elvis because it really makes her mad. I'll tell her, hey, dear, if Elvis was alive today, he would be Engelbert Humperdinck. That's who he would be. If Elvis were alive today, he'd be doing Krispy Kreme commercials in Las Vegas. She hates that. She hates that. And sometimes I'll do an impression of Elvis, and she really hates this. So I know she's not watching today, but I'll go, Scylla, hey, baby, I'm in the bathroom. Bring me my pills and my donuts. Yeah, I'm in here on the toilet. She hates that. Okay, so anyway, he ate these culinary bombs like peanut butter and banana sandwiches grilled in butter. And it was probably salted butter. I mean, probably. But on August 15th, 1977, here was his dinner. He ate 4 scoops of ice cream and 6 cookies. Then he played racquetball, went to the bathroom, and died. He actually was not found for a few hours. You know who Jason Crabb is? Multi-Grammy winner. And you know who Jimmy Fortune is? The Country Music Hall of Fame, Songwriters Hall of Fame. Jimmy Fortune was the high tenor for the Statler Brothers. Polly and I were eating lunch with Jason and his wife Shelley and Jimmy and his wife Nina, and Jimmy was sitting right next to me, and somehow Elvis came up, and Jason says, he's still alive. You know he's still alive. And Polly says, oh, Jason, he is not. And she says, I'm telling you, he's still alive. Elvis still alive. They saw him at a Burger King in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm telling you, he's still alive. And Jimmy Fortune leaned over to me and said, no, he's definitely not alive. I said, really? He said, yeah, I can confirm that he is dead. You know why? I said, why? He said, because if he was still alive, they would have stopped that died on the toilet rumor. They would have had him die in some much nicer way. Number 6, Martin Luther King. On April 4th, Martin Luther King ate a catfish lunch at the Lorraine Hotel. He and his advisor, Ralph Abernathy, had iced tea with their meal, and their meal was a single serving that they shared because Martin Luther King didn't want to bother the waitress who had gotten their order for 2 platters incorrect. And for that, they shot him. But as he left the Lorraine Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee, to drive to a friend's home, he was shot by James Earl Ray. It's amazing to me how, and maybe I shouldn't say this, I'm going to make some people mad, but I'm going to say it anyway. As you know, as inconsequential as Memphis seems to be in modern day, a lot of things happened there. You know, Martin Luther King, Elvis, all those recordings with Johnny Cash, and you know all those guys. I mean, it just seems like a lot happened. Number 7, John Lennon. John Lennon stopped at the Stage Deli in New York on his way to a recording session on December 8th, 19 whatever it was. I can't remember exactly when it was, and I got that wrong on the on my writing. But according to his manager, Gil Kashkin, John Lennon ordered a corned beef sandwich and hot tea before he and Yoko Ono went to a studio to work on a song called Walking on Thin Ice. When Lennon returned home that evening, he was shot and killed by Mark Chapman. Corned beef. All right, number 8, Captain Ernest Lehmann. You know who he was captain of? Or what he was captain of? The Hindenburg. So, I think the Hindenburg happened before Kenny Rogers did that song, Let's Go Out in a Blaze of Glory. It was May 6, 1937, and the Hindenburg was engulfed in flames and just fell. I mean, you've seen the video and heard the recording of it. But he was a well-trained and experienced pilot, and he'd served in the German military in World War I, and so he actually survived the crash, but died because of his burns, you know, just almost immediately because of his burns. But this was a luxury airliner at the time, and so the Hindenburg provided elaborate meals to the passengers, including the final menu that had foods like Indian swallow nest soup, which I passed on the recipe for that, cold run salmon, Bavarian-style duckling. So Captain Lehmann ate a selection from the final menu offered aboard the Hindenburg. And what he had was the pate, the fish, the duckling, and venison boval. Ever heard of venison boval? I had never either. Pretty simple recipe. I found it. Here it is. 4 loin steaks. And by the way, it was spelled Stakes. I guess that's a European spelling, but 4 loin steaks. 2 pounds of butter, unsalted, I'm sure. 2 tablespoons of brandy, and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. You melt the butter in a frying pan and sear the steaks. Mix the brandy and the Worcestershire sauce and pour over the steaks. Simmer for about a minute. Flame them and serve. Light them up and take them to the table on fire. There's another way to do that you can. It's very similar to the. We were talking about this last week. You've heard of crow hunting, and people actually eat. There's a recipe for crows that's kind of similar to that. That's what I recognize. The recipe for crow is like a crow breast and brandy and a cedar plank, and you marinate. Brush it with brandy, and you save some extra, and put it on at 350 on the cedar plank for an hour in the oven, and then you take it out and throw the crow away and eat the cedar plank and drink the brandy. That's probably the best we could do. Number 9, Julius Caesar. On the morning of March 15th, 44 BC. I wonder if they knew that March 15th was the Ides of March. Probably not. But yeah, they did, because somebody told him, beware the Ides of March. Who was it that told him, beware the Ides of March? I can't remember. But every year, on March 15th, I beware it. I just beware it out of general principles. Anyway, he ventured out into the city. The night before, Caesar had dined with several other Roman senators at the home of Marcus Lepidus, and that was his second in command. Among the attendees were Caesar's assassins. The dinner presented to Caesar featured several kinds of seafood, with lightly poached shrimp served cold and steamed mussels offered alongside lamb, green beans, and chicken. For dessert, the group enjoyed a mix of fruit, egg, and cream. The next morning, before breakfast, they didn't even let the man eat breakfast, and they stabbed him to death. Probably with the knives that they used at the dinner the night before. Number 10. See, everybody thinks et tu, Brute, that he looked when he was stabbed and he said, et tu, Brutus. They think that meant you too, Brutus. But actually what he was saying was, I fed you the night before. You ate too, Brute. That's what it meant. You ate too. And now you're doing this to me. Number 10, Diana, Princess of Wales. On the night of her death in August 1997, Princess Diana and her companion, is that what they call him? A companion. I put that down right from my research. A companion. I guess she was divorced from Prince Charles. Then, every time I think of Diana and Prince Charles getting married, I remember one of my best friends. We were at my grandmother's house. My sister was like 15 years old. And Steve, we called him Fujimo. Fujimo was laying flat out, watching the wedding like that. We were kind of bored. We were in between something to do, and the wedding was going on. Diana walking down, and my sister comes in, and she says, "A prince. She's marrying a prince. I can't believe she gets to marry a prince." And Steve said, "Yes, there are so few of us left." That's always been one of the greatest lines to me. So anyway, Princess Diana and her companion, Dodi Fayed. See, you don't want to get involved with somebody named Dodi. I mean, what the crap kind of name is Dodi? I mean, if you call that kid in around here, everybody's making fun. Dodi, Dodi sounds a lot like duty. Anyway, they ate a final meal together at L'Esperon restaurant in Paris. L'Esperon is in the Ritz Hotel. And despite their attempts to eat at the restaurant itself, the pair were forced to dine in their hotel room because there were so many gawkers and photographers. And Dodi reportedly ordered grilled turbot, which is fish, while Diana had an asparagus and mushroom omelet as an appetizer and Dover sole, not Denver sole. Denver sole, that would probably be like a steak, but Dover sole as a main dish. Alongside her fish, the Princess of Wales enjoyed vegetable tempura. Then they went for a drive, and you know the rest. Number 11, Adolf Hitler. As the leader of Germany's Third Reich retreated to his bunker during the spring of 1945, he was accompanied by his partner and soon-to-be wife, he married her right there at the end, Eva Braun, and numerous other Nazi officials were there. The bunker, located in Berlin, was his refuge, and he watched the entire thing crumble. According to observers, Hitler was like a ghost. He just stared ahead, lost in thought. The bunker was shaken by a strong tremor as a bomb hit and dirt and mortar trickled down, but he didn't even make any attempt to brush it off. He looked so much more unhealthy than 10 days earlier at his birthday party. That just seems weird to me. Happy birthday, dear Adolf. It's just, that whole thing sounds weird. But it looked like he was suffering from jaundice, is what people said. But once Hitler decided he had no other option but to take his own life, and what a nice guy. He's decided, yeah, it's over, so I'm going to kill myself. Well, his dog, his faithful companion, Blondie, he gave cyanide to the dog. Yeah, if I can't live, you can't either. And he gave cyanide to Eva Braun, who took it, and then he shot himself. Both of their bodies were later burned. I don't know what happened to Blondie's body, but Hitler had just eaten lightly sauced spaghetti and cabbage before taking his... I'm thinking if somebody fed me spaghetti and cabbage, I might kill myself too. But in the hours just after his demise, his personal chef prepared him a dinner of mashed potatoes and fried eggs because she didn't know he was dead. And did you know that the spaghetti he ate had Newman's own marinara sauce? No, that's not true. Number 12, John F. Kennedy. On the night before he died, President John F. Kennedy and his wife, Jackie, attended a banquet at the Sam Houston Coliseum in Houston. Now, when you're eating at a Coliseum, you can bet the menu is not good. The meal included chicken, rolls, green beans, and pie. So he was there for a convention. And it was served to more than 3,000 people in what has been called probably the largest seated dinner ever held in Texas. The Kennedys left for Fort Worth that night and stayed at the Hilton Fort Worth. On the morning of November 22nd, 1963, President Kennedy made a few remarks to a small crowd in downtown Fort Worth before heading to a breakfast event at the Hotel Texas. At 8 a.m., the president was served what would be his last meal: coffee, orange juice, 2 boiled eggs, each boiled for 5 minutes, some toast, and marmalade on the side. And that was it. That's kind of a regular breakfast. Okay, here's the last one, number 13. Mahatma Gandhi. Now, as you probably already know, Gandhi, he had an austere diet. He was a little bitty guy. He was a little bitty guy. And he didn't eat much, and what he ate was like bland and nothing. So he was like emaciated, you know. And he just basically sustained himself on food that was so simple, it just gave him the energy to survive. But on his final day, Gandhi spent the afternoon with the Deputy Prime Minister of India. And Gandhi took his last meal around 4:30 p.m., January 30th, 1948. It was cooked vegetables, glass of goat's milk, ripe tomatoes, oranges, and 1 raw carrot, and finally a small glass concoction of ginger, sour lime, and aloe. Once Gandhi was done, he left to attend evening prayers, set to arrive for the 5 p.m. start. As he made his way through a crowd of followers, he was shot 3 times by a Hindu extremist. A lot of people don't know that diet that he was on has left him emaciated. And of course, he didn't wear shoes. Did you know he didn't wear shoes? He had big, thick pads on his feet. Never wore shoes. And the diet gave him bad breath. Found that in the research. So Gandhi was I guess that made him a super calloused, fragile mystic hexed by halitosis. And that's it for today. I don't know what we're going to do Thursday, but it'll be something. And we'll see you Thursday. Bye-bye.